Hi, welcome to Live on KEXP at Home. I'm your host, Larry Rose from KEXP, where we broadcast live on 90.3 FM and streaming all over the world at kexp.org and on our mobile apps. We're so excited today to be joined by Man on Man. Welcome, guys. How's it going?
Hey, going well. How are you?
Hi, Larry.
Doing well.
Hi, all over the world. My name's Roddy.
Hello. Roddy and Joey, thank you so much for coming in and for doing this remotely. And where are you guys right now?
Right now we're in Provincetown, Massachusetts on Cape Cod. We're based in New York City, but we spend time out here.
That's very nice. I've only been to Provincetown once, but I loved it. It was great.
That's neat that you've been. It's such an East Coast city. Most people on the West Coast don't know what Provincetown is. For those of you who don't know, it's like this tiny artist sort of village on the very tip of Cape Cod. It has a really deep history of literary figures coming here and writing. Like Eugene O'Neill wrote his first play here. And it's got a super charged queer community and always has. It's a really special place.
It's really great. Yeah. Well, Man on Man, congratulations on releasing your debut self-titled album on Polyvinyl Records. And I love the record. I love the name Man on Man as well. It's great.
You.
Thanks.
And thank you for recording a live performance for KEXP. Where did you record that?
We recorded it in Brooklyn at our friend's studio, Ben's studio. What's it called? Storm? Dangerous?
Who knows?
I forget the name of it. It's really bad. I'm bad with names.
It's the most amazing studio, and of course we don't know the name of it.
Yeah, it's in Brooklyn. I had recorded stuff there with my band Crickets before, and Joey and I went there. Actually, we went there and saw a session there, a recording session from this band called Come Girl 8 that we really loved. And the drummer, actually, in that band ended up playing with us in our session. But it's a real neighborhoody sort of studio, really nice people. Great vibe.
Look it up.
Nice. Yeah, it looks great from the video. And why don't we check it out now? We're going to hear a couple songs, Stohner and Daddy from the debut Man on Man release. It's live on KEXP at Home with Man on Man. That was so great, you guys.
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you.
Stohner and Daddy from Man on Man live on KEXP at home. And I love the way it rocks and also is just so melodic. Really great. And where exactly was that studio?
I was in Brooklyn. It's our friend Ben's studio. It's called Strange Weather.
Got it.
It's really cozy neighborhood studio. We love it there.
Yeah, it's a beautiful space.
Thank you.
Roddy Bottum and Joey Holman, thank you for coming here. And Roddy, you were in Faith No More and also in Imperial Teen. I know I just read this recently, but We Care a Lot by Faith No More, that was a song that you wrote?
Yeah, I did. I wrote that song. Well, we all wrote the music together, but I wrote the words for that song.
Got it.
We were listening to a lot of Run DMC at the time.
Oh, nice. I love that song. And it's probably, I would say, one of the most played Faith No More songs here on KEXP.
Oh, that's cool. It's got a real good positive vibe, too. I'm glad you're waving that flag.
It really does, yeah. And Imperial Teen, I started here in the mid-'90s. And so Imperial Teen, I feel like, has been a band that I've been playing for years. And I love Imperial Teen. So thank you for all that great music over the years.
Thank you.
And Joey, I wanted to ask you about your musical background.
It's really interesting. When I was in college, I joined a band, and it was a Christian band.
Oh, wow.
And and it was like, I'm from the South, and the whole scene in the South during this time was really charged, like Christian, like metal and hardcore and indie and emo scene. I mean, you guys know Tooth and Nail Records is in Seattle, Solid State Records. Like that was a huge, like a lot of those bands are from the Southeast. And so it wasn't really like that weird. I think in hindsight, it sounds funny to say I used to play in a Christian band, but that was kind of what it was. It was like the best bands around. And also we were younger. And so like the only clubs we could go to were like church halls that would open up their doors and like have bands play. And so that's kind of how we started a scene down there where the younger kids could go down and just see a bunch of bands play. And there was a band that I really liked and I became friends with. And then their guitar player got married. And then I just joined the band and I moved to Nashville and did that for several years. And then I pretty much ended up hating it. I mean, I'm gay. And so it was just like, I wasn't out.
You weren't out then. Yeah.
I was not out. And it was like I look back and I have a lot of fond memories about it. I mean, I learned a lot about the music industry and all the whole thing. But I mean, it was just it was so far removed from where I was mentally and just it wasn't nourishing at all for me. So I quit music for a long time and worked in fashion, moved to New York. And then that was kind of my history and started making music on my own again a few years ago.
And how did the two of you meet?
We met kind of over music. We share kind of similar tastes in music, and we met in New York. I was playing a show with my band, Nasty Band, which is a real performance art, sort of weird, loud art band, and we were playing with our friend Christine, who's a really radical, queer, like performer, kind of a big deal. But Joey was going to the show, and we kind of talked about music online before he was going to the show, and we kind of met that night at the show. So it was kind of like a really musically based sort of introduction, but we didn't play music together for a long time. We started going out, and we never played music until the pandemic hit, and
got it.
We hadn't done it.
And
together.
you were still working with Imperial Teen. I know they put out an album in 2019, and I think Faith No More was going to go on tour around that time, right before everything.
Yeah, pre-pandemic, Imperial Teen had just put a record out. I put another record out with my band Crickets, which is a really awesome record. And Faith No More was ready to go on tour. It was going to be a really big year. And then the pandemic hit.
Wow. So
and that was really heavy times. That kind of changed everything for Joey and myself, changed our whole trajectory of our relationship, what we do creatively. It really set a tone for the past couple of years.
Yeah. When did you decide to start making music together?
It was really like at the beginning of the pandemic, really when things started getting really crazy. When March, we were in New York City and Roddy's mom wasn't doing well. And so we were at that point in our kind of decision making where it was like, because we didn't know if they were closing state borders. It was the whole talk about like what's going to happen. And we both were like, look, 2 people in New York City hogging up resources, like 2 less people is a good thing. And if your mom gets really, really sick, we might as well be in California near her and also his family, if things go down with her. And so we just made the decision to rent a car and drive across the country. And I brought my guitar with me just because we tinker around with music anyway. Roddy was going to be rehearsing for Faith No More stuff. But we were in Texas, and Roddy was just like, we have gear. Like, why don't we just make music for fun? And so it's kind of like in the middle of our drive that Roddy just sort of like suggested we do it. And it was a very low stakes suggestion. I mean, I think at most we were just going to share it with our friends, and that's it.
Yeah, we bought a couple microphones and then just started kind of like in quarantine, where we went in Los Angeles to like quarantine before we hooked up with my family, because my mom was sick and she's older. We had to like at least be 2 weeks away from them. So in that 2 weeks, we started just creating songs.
I see. And did the songs that you first started creating, did they end up on the record, and did the project change over that time in terms of like the sound and everything?
It took a really interesting sort of like poetic trajectory. Like we started off like we hadn't played music together, so we were kind of like tiptoeing around each other a little bit. And the music that we made at that initial point kind of suggests that. Like the last song that we'll play today that we performed in the studio was one of the first songs that we played. It was like a gentle song, and we were kind of like, a little bit shy with each other. But at one point, like in our sort of like, it was boredom as well, but we were just like wanted to get loud. And we started doing songs that were like really loud and powerful, and that took a whole course.
And we're both like, Roddy has done scoring stuff in the past, and he knows a lot about computer software and programming, and I do a little bit, but we don't know a ton. And so I think we were both like we had been playing with like an upright piano and an acoustic guitar, and and we also, to keep in mind, it was really crazy driving across the country, because where we came from, it was so serious and people were taking it so seriously. But then when you get like, in the middle of nowhere, there's like nothing's even wrong. And it felt really discombobulating, because we were trying to figure out like, is this serious? Are these people like, it was just like a whole thing. So it was really intense, that drive. And so we get to California, and a lot of the songs were down, introspective, sort of question-y. And then once we had kind of settled into being in California, it was like, okay, let's see what this, because we just had a laptop. We recorded all these songs on a laptop. One guitar, one microphone, one synth. Like, it was just very like DIY. And so I think the louder songs were kind of by necessity. It was like, let's just get outside of what we're doing now sonically and just let's get louder.
Yeah. And the album does cover a lot of musical territory. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of loud, post-punky, shoegazy sounds on the record, which I love. It sounds so great. I wanted to ask you about the fact, the album is very open, very gay, very upfront. Was that something that you felt as you were putting it together that you wanted to make sure that was the case with this record, or did that just happen organically?
A little of both. I think it happened organically because we're 2 gay men, and we were, exploring our sort of relationship and our first steps at making music together while we're also in love. So it's just kind of like, it was like a Polaroid of what was going on in our lives. But at the same time, I think we talked a lot about like the art that we wanted to put out there. If we were to put a record out or put music out, we wanted it to be very queer positive. And gay music to us, there's a lot of gay music in the world, or gay representation that is kind of squeaky clean and not dirty and not loud and not abrasive and just like, sort of to us, it's a little one-dimensional. We wanted to really represent in terms of like a big, loud sound that we love. And we sort of took it from there, and it kind of grew. Like, we made our first video, and we got like a big response from people, from particularly queer men, about it, saying, thanks. I've never seen our community represented in this way before. So thank you so much. Like, so many of those. And it was such a rewarding, like, strong thing to hear in the process of us still writing songs and like thinking about maybe making a collection of music, and that coming into our mix really sort of like set a tone for where we went as far as like a queer agenda goes. But definitely it was on our minds for sure.
Yeah. No, when I was coming out back in the 90s, I was really looking for bands like that played the music that I was listening to, which I was very much in indie rock, and you know, bands like Pansy Division and Imperial Teen and Hidden Cameras, you know, those types of bands that were playing rock. They were few and far between that were also out. So it's very cool to see that. And there's still not a lot of it out there in the world. So so great.
I think that's what we talk about a lot. Like when we talk to people like in interviews or just talking to friends, it's like we think that there's so much more queer representation now because we know of a lot of people, but the fact that we can like name them on both of our hands of like who does what, it's like out of the tens of thousands of bands, you can still name maybe 10 like queer rock bands or queer rappers or whatever it is. It's like there's still so much more work to do in terms of like representation in the music scene.
Absolutely. Well, I want to ask you about the videos, but let's hear a couple more songs from the performance. The next couple are It's So Fun to Be Gay, which is just a great anthem, and 1983. Let's check them out. It's Man on Man, live on KEXP at home.
Thanks you guys so much for being here. Thank you to our amazing gay choir. We're so lucky to have such good friends here in New York City. Let's go.
Come along, it's okay, it's so fun to be gay. Come along, it's okay, it's so fun to be gay. Birds do it, bees do it, we do it too. Birds do it, bees do it, we do it too. We do it too. It's so fun to be gay. It's so fun to be gay. It's so fun to
Man on Man, live on KEXP at home. That was great. 1983, the name of that song. And did those events in the song take place in 1983? What is the what is the significance of that year?
So much. It's, yeah.
Not as much as the tone of the song. The tone of the song is kind of about like gay cruising out in the wilds, so to speak. And that's like
which was more prevalent.
Yeah, that was way more prevalent. I would say it was way more prevalent in 1983. You can make that connection. Yeah.
There were it's like a lot of funny sort of like coincidental tie-ins. Like the song sonically, there are a lot of 80s references musically, like with the synth and guitar stuff and the repetition and then like the theme of the song with like gay cruising in the park. But it was really just like named that because we were just demoing it, and that was what the year I was born, and I just wrote 1983. But then it became like this thing that really like informed the direction of the lyrics and the video. And that was a song that too, we kind of like really fell into like this confidence with lyric writing where it was like very unapologetically like, because a lot of people, you know, we've done like interviews with like a lot of straight outlets and people, and it's like the context of our lyrics comes up a lot in a way that seems like it's provocative, and maybe it is, but I think something that a lot of people don't understand is that like sexual liberation is part of our culture. And so when Roddy was talking about like us making music that we wanted to listen to or wanted to write, like precisely sexual topics are something that we feel confident talking about because it's part of our culture. We fought for it. And we're still fighting for it. And so I think like 1983, I look back on that songwriting, that lyric writing pretty fondly because it was really, we had a lot of different variations of lyrics, but I think that was like, it was really fun to write that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
we won't go into the other variations, but
I can imagine. If the song was called 2021, it would probably involve apps and sending pics. And
probably, yeah.
I want to ask you about the videos. So the video for Daddy, when you first put it out on YouTube, it was actually taken down. Is that right?
Yeah, we put it out sort of just, it was the first thing that we put out, and we just put it on YouTube kind of for fun. We weren't expecting a whole lot of like attention for it, but it really got a lot of attention really fast. Like in a couple of days, it got like millions and millions of views. Not, but a lot. And really quickly, like YouTube was on it, and they took it off their platform, citing profane and indecent exhibition of sexual, like whatever, like there was a terminology, but they took it down, and it really like, it was kind of crushing. I mean, it's sort of like we just switched over to Vimeo and sort of like shared it with people there, but we were on a really like, felt like a strong path to reaching people, and it felt like a slap on the wrist to gay men that were just expressing themselves, who weren't doing anything out of the realm. There's no nudity in it, you know. We're moving around and we make out a little bit, and we're doing suggestive things in our underwear, but you know, that's certainly way tamer than 90% of, you know, like explicit sort of rap videos or rock videos or in a sort of hetero world. And it was, it was a bit of a setback, but at the same time, we kind of like got through that, and they ended up putting it back on their platform, and it kind of really got us a lot of attention for what that was, and that wasn't so bad either, because it kind of made like a splash, and it was fun at the end of the day. Like coming from a place where we have to defend ourselves is kind of like I like being in that position.
Yeah, no, that's great, and they realized that they really didn't have any reason to take it down in the first place.
Yeah, and Rolling Stone did an article about it as well. They did like a follow-up thing where they like wrote about how it's not just, you know, our video, but it's a ton of people who are on the, you know, who are marginalized creators or thinkers who just get taken off all the time because for reasons that are very obvious. But so I think that helped too. I think YouTube was like expediting their review process.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's back up. I want to ask you about a couple other videos. The It's So Fun to Be Gay video. You have many people from the queer community snippets from that they put together. How did that come about?
It was kind of, we started working on the It's So Fun to Be Gay video after we had done a bunch of videos with just Joey and myself. Because of quarantine, we did like the first 3 videos that we did were, or maybe even 4, were just the 2 of us, which was kind of cool and a good sort of statement to put out there. But it was just really focused on these 2 guys, these 2 faces. And it felt like that song particularly, It's So Fun to Be Gay, is such an anthem and such a community-driven sort of sentiment that we wanted to put out there. And it just made sense that we would bring in all of our friends into the process. So we just kind of put word out to like all of our friends in our community and said, we're looking just for express yourself in a gay way that you feel comfortable with, and we'd love to share that in our representation of this song. And kind of came about that way. It was pretty easy to put together, honestly.
Was it? Yeah. Well, it came across. It's a great video.
Yeah, a couple of the people like who were in the video, like our friend Paul, who's Christine, the performer we mentioned earlier, our friend Dusty and Shane, Christopher, and his boyfriend Steven. Christopher did art for our record. They're all in the studio with us as we did that song that we just watched. It's So Fun to Be Gay.
That was our gay choir.
Yeah, that was our gay
Some of
choir.
them were in the
yeah.
video.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. Now, the band that you have in this performance, are they? How did they come together?
They're friends. Roddy plays in a band with the guitar player Michael in a band called Crickets. Chase, she's in one of our favorite New York bands, Come Girl 8. And then Joey Howard is he's my best friend. He plays in like Paramore and with Haley Williams, and is a crazy talented songwriter in Nashville. And we just we knew we wanted like the band to be queer. And so, yeah, that's they're just friends that we're all just very down to do it. It's just such a perfect blend.
It's such a good group of people. We love them so much. It was a stretch because when we made the record, like we've said, we did it all by ourselves, just the 2 of us. So opening it up to like a live band sort of scenario was tricky. But yeah, I love everyone. We were watching these sessions that we did for you guys, and just like, oh my God, I love everyone in the performance so much. They're such great people.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Well, it sounds great. Why don't we hear one more from the session? And this one is Please Be Friends. It's Man on Man, live on KEXP at Home.
Kardashian, so last season I've been feeling blue. Nothing's dropping, no more shopping, locked up, shut in too. I'll make you so proud of me, black and blue. Stop doubting me, I hear you. Stop shouting so loud. I look back at all the people out in front of me, and it feels like everybody's making fun of me. And it comes down to who's my friend and who's my enemy. Please be friends, please be friends, please be friends, please be friends. With my iPhone, really, I don't mean to step on toes. Done unpacking, still I'm lacking, boasting, bragging, both. I'll make you so proud of me, black and blue. Stop doubting me, I hear you. Stop shouting so loud. I look back at all the people out in front of me, and it feels like everybody's making fun of me. And it comes down to who's my friend and who's my enemy. Please be friends, please be friends, please be friends. ahead of this. And it's still like, I don't want to be a pessimist, but let's still try for all of us to make the best of this. Please be friends, please be friends, please be friends, please be friends.
Man on Man live on KEXP at home. That was beautiful.
Did you like that one?
I like that one a lot. A perfect, hopeful post-quarantine song.
Thanks. That was one of the early ones that we wrote together in the beach house when we were writing songs.
It's one of my favorite songs on the record.
It is? Mm-hmm. I like that one too. It's got a really cute sentiment.
It's really great. And yeah, it's super hopeful and uplifting. And yeah, great song. I want to ask you, speaking of that, about Chosen Family, project that you have put out there, or a website zine.
Yeah, we knew very early on when we were doing this project, we were very much informed by our own desires and creative impulses, and we kept that first when we made our record. But what certainly was like fueling us during the process after we released Daddy was just like so many people messaging us and telling us how much they loved the music. And we knew we kind of like were in this position where we were so desperately wanting to like touch people, like we were just separated and everything was so separated. And we had gone through this like long journey of like finishing our record, mixing, mastering it, signing to polyvinyl, this whole thing, but we still couldn't do anything with it because we're still, and so we just decided it's like, what can we do to keep people connected and like because it's like all of the people who are talking to us on our, through email or through direct messages, it's like, they're not talking to each other and they're not seeing each other. They're just talking to us. And so we're like, we've got all these amazing people who are talking with us and who we know. We should like connect everybody in some way. And so we had this like pen pal idea, and we had like several hundred people sign up for that. So there's like pen pals all over the world. And then we did a zine that we released with our record, the first issue, where it's just highlighting like all these people who signed up for our Chosen Family community list that we put together, and they submitted artwork. And so we just like feature friends' artworks, words, poetry, photography, painting, etc. That was kind of the genesis of it. And I think it'll inform like where we go down the line. And we really both are excited about always just feeling like we're connecting to people. That's kind of like our North Star in a lot of way. So yeah, I hate that I said North Star, but you know what I mean.
I do. Live shows. Do you have any plans for live shows coming up?
Yeah, just recently we kind of were getting the live band together when you guys asked us to do this session, so it worked out really well. We haven't done a live show yet. We've only done this performance for you guys. So this is the first time that we've kind of shared what we've done for the most part. We have a show coming up like on the 26th of August in New York at Elsewhere. And super excited about that. And then we're going to play a show up here in P-Town, where we are, Provincetown. And soon after that, we're going to go to Chicago for this big festival, Riot Fest. Do you know the festival,
wow.
Riot Fest?
I've heard of it, but I'm not that familiar.
It's a big, like 3-day festival that's like really a big whopper of a festival. And it's crazy. In terms of like where we're coming out of and like where we are as a world, like we've all missed music so much. it's so exciting for us, like on the precipice of this, to be like going onto a stage and playing in front of people.
Yeah, I can't wait to
can't
get
wait.
back to shows, and I can't wait for you
Yeah.
guys to come out to Seattle and play a
Yeah,
show here in
I
Seattle.
loved when I lived in Seattle. It was such a cool city because I lived in New York for a while and then I moved to Seattle and I moved back to New York. But when I was in Seattle, what was so fun to me about it is like Seattle really celebrates the live band. It's like it's about bands. It's not like sometimes like in like really big cities, it can lean too heavily on just like the artist just playing to playback or like whatever it is. But Seattle loves their bands, which is so fun to see shows in Seattle. I loved like Numos and God, everywhere really. But
Yeah, Imperial Teen always had such good shows in Seattle. We would like go back and go back and go back, just because the live vibe was so much fun.
yeah, people like go to shows and like watch the shows. It's not
Yeah,
like
they
a
really do.
social like weird thing where they watch the bands and it's really cool.
Yeah, it is. Well,
Do they still
hope to see you
do
guys out
bumper
there.
shoots? And is bumper shoots still happening in Seattle?
It is not. It had been happening, but the past a couple of years, it has not. So
'Cause of
we're
the
not sure where
pandemic?
that stands right now.
Because the pandemic?
There was more to it than that. Yeah,
we don't
I
have
think.
to go into
So
Okay.
You sign an NDA, you can't discuss
right. Well, thank you guys for putting together the performance for KEXP and for doing
Yeah.
this interview.
Yeah,
Really
it's a pleasure.
appreciate it. It's great to meet you.
Thanks for having us. It was a really fun challenge to do, especially in this time. Like to be asked to like go into a studio and do a set. It was like, oh wow, yeah. I'm glad we did it. Like I said, this is our first time we've really shared this, so it feels really good. Thanks for letting us be part of it.
And you guys have supported us like early on too, which we are so because KXP is like seriously like for me. So it's such a big honor to be a part of you guys' just friends, I guess. And it's such a thrill to be able to just to have you guys support us is like so meaningful to both of us. I really love KEXP.
Well, we love having you here, and thank you for all the music over the years. Back to Imperial Teen and Faith No More, and
Sure, thank you.
And my Christian band too.
and your Christian band. Yes, yeah,
Cool hand,
definitely.
Luke.
All right, thanks to everyone for watching. Thank you, Roddy. Thanks
Thanks,
you, Joey.
Larry.
And,
Bye, you
can
guys.
bye. You can subscribe to KEXP's YouTube channel to find more live performances, and please visit kexp.org to listen to our live stream, as well as many other features. And thank you for supporting listener-powered KEXP. See you next time.
Discover new music at listenerpoweredkexp.org.